Oh, hey, Chris.
Hey, Brandon.
So, how you doing?
Not so good.
I know.
How about you?
So.
Are those Skittles helping any?
They do help.
And they're very difficult to come by in Japan.
Yeah.
I've never seen Skittles in a store.
Yeah, I think I saw them once remember when we went to that,
I was thinking that too.
the place in Kobe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like an outlet mall or something.
Oh, yeah.
All right, his old roommate kidnapped us on New Year's Day.
What was that? Yeah, New Year's Day?
Yeah. I think we were going to go buy weed too. I think we were going to buy weed, and then I got a message at like 8 in the morning, and Brandon's like, hey, do you want to do a thing? I'm like...
Were those the same days?
I don't know. We were going to do something.
We did one thing, we went to the temple, and then we went to the outlet.
It was on the way there. And there was that girl, and I was like,
she was there.
I don't really like her.
She was a cunt.
Oh, we found Skittles at some outlet mall out in... Was it even in Kobe? Hyogo?
It was,
It was out in the middle of nowhere. You needed
it was definitely a car
to get there.
You weren't getting there by train. That was a good Japanese memory.
It wasn't good. Because then he kidnapped us and made us go to an onsen. We're like, can we just go home? Like, it's 5 p.m. He's like, I think a nice onsen would be good. Like,
Then charged us at the end for something we didn't even want to do.
Did he? Do we have to pay like $10?
He was like, Chris,
driving around?
$10. You got some gas money?
Yeah, sure.
But okay, so we've been in Japan for a long time, man.
This is another thing I was thinking about. I'm like, have I been here 5 years?
Yeah.
What have I accomplished? Other than this is pretty impressive, but
yeah.
But after what, 4 years?
This is about to be the real podcast. Like, recently, I myself, and I feel like you've been too, but I've been thinking like, I hit 30. You're almost about to hit 30.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you really do gotta sit back and say, okay, my brain's coming back. I'm trying to mix it up, like giving advice,
sure.
and so
Yeah, okay.
Here's the biggest problem with a lot of people that come to Japan, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
What's the plan?
Yeah.
What's the plan? So look, I'm doing training at my job right now.
Okay.
And so there's like there's a new batch of foreigners like fresh off. They're 24, 25.
Oh, the wonder years.
Yeah, they're just like, and I'm like, hey, so why'd you guys come? How long you staying? They're like, I really don't know.
Hold on, that's when you go around telling people, oh, I just love the culture. That 24, 25 years old age, and then you get our age and you're like, no. Okay, so they're here.
Yeah, and so I'm like, so was there a specific reason? But a lot of them said, I actually said like, so what you want to do? How long you want to stay? They're like, I really have no plan. That's the worst thing you can ever do, going to any country to try to live. Now,
okay.
If you want to do it just for that 1 year, it's like, hey, fuck it. They'll give me 1 year to fuck around in Japan.
Yeah.
Fuck it. You don't worry about paying your pension. Fuck it. Just have a good time for 1 year and go home.
And I think a lot of people do that. Like, when I was originally going to come here, I guess my dad knew some woman from his work who came in like the 80s. I'm like, you could do that? People went to Japan back then?
Right?
Here's some context for that. Japan didn't really get Wi-Fi until, 2015?
Shit, so was she like writing letters and shit?
I guess. It's like, how did you get around back then? But, yeah, it's just like, there are the people that just go, oh, I'll just teach there for a year just for whatever. And then they go back to America and they get married and just live a normal life.
Yeah, and if that's your experience, you've probably got nothing but nice things to say about Japan.
Right, yeah.
And then there's the other group that decide to stay some years, or we didn't have the full plan. This actually kind of reminds me of your airport story. You didn't have a plan.
I don't think he burped like that. You didn't have a plan. Morty.
Some drunk airport security guard.
Oh, jeez, Rick. I don't know what I'm doing here. Morty, you didn't even have a plan. I hope when I re-listen to this, I'm like, ooh, that was a good Rick and Morty. It'll be embarrassing if it was not.
And so when you don't have a plan, the years can add up. And then you might be... So years add up in a foreign country. And then you're like 5 years deep and you're like, oh shit.
Because here's the problem. If you go back after 5 years, you haven't accumulated any American skills. Like, you can't be like, I taught English for 5 years. I can do computer work? Like, what are you going to do? Like, none of this really adds up. Because, like, you're not going to go to the American school system. Like, we didn't major as teachers.
But then sometimes I think, like, with some... You can get something saying, I lived in Japan for...
Because people do just think, like, oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. I guess. Like, I was actually talking to my sister. She's like, look, in Japan, no one thinks what you're doing is amazing. Which, I mean, I wouldn't say amazing, but it's not the same shit. They're not going to go to America and do this bullshit. Like,
oh, okay.
And so, like, I was kind of thinking, like we said this before, but would your skill, not even skills, but, like, you can get something better in America with... Oh shit, you've been in Japan for 4 years? Because most Americans don't know what we know, so when they hear Japan, they're like, oh, yeah, give me that position.
Foreign market investments I'm seeing? Yeah, like...
Yeah.
Okay.
Where in Japan, they're like, yeah, all right, are you an English teacher? Like,
Yeah. Okay.
And that's also a thing with, like, Japan, like, I was kind of saying this, ultimately, and this is for any country, they don't need you.
Yeah.
What I mean by this is, Japan, look, they have garbage men. They have teachers. They have construction workers, all in Japanese.
Yeah.
What do they need your foreign ass coming in for?
And it's funny because I always read things on the news where it's like, Japan's labor shortage. I'm like, labor shortage?
Like, but also, to add to that when they mean that, they mean cheap, cheap Filipino or Thailand labor. They don't mean Americans.
Yeah.
Because I see always online, we need, Filipinos for our old people care.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it so they can pay them less?
And no Japanese person wants to do that shit.
Oh, okay.
Just like how America we'll have our thing where, like, we don't want to do that shit.
The same thing where it's like no American's gonna, like, pick tobacco crops.
Yeah.
But then they like, we don't want you here, and it's like, but really we want you to stay.
Right.
Just I don't want to see you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, but Japan doesn't offer. They really don't even offer us to teach English here. They just have these positions, but like they don't offer anything like we could really use outside workers for this. But then I think about America, and you're like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of companies there do hire people from overseas to do jobs.
But then also, at least have to have a skill, or at least good enough English. And that's another thing is like...
I don't know. I think they would prefer good enough English. I think one guy my dad worked with, he was from China. He was just like, he just does his work. Nobody really talks to him. So it's like, you might be able to get away with that.
But it's still computer skills.
Right, so he has enough skills to counterbalance the lack of English, I suppose.
We're pretty shit out of luck.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know if you could you apply to just a garbage man job?
Maybe if you had a marriage visa. Like one of the legitimate visas.
Where they're like, ugh, we gotta keep you, I guess.
And that's the thing also, we're still in the English market. It's starting to get to the point where it's like, no, at my training, there's of course older people that have been there for years, and they just look fucking miserable. You could just feel it, like they're like, oh my god, how am I still in this? I'm 50 something, and it's like,
yeah. There was a guy at my first job, like, when I got hired to work in Kawagoe at the junior high school. I think he was like 55 years old. He looked like shit. And he was just out of a divorce. So he's like, I gotta go back to teaching English. Like, it's like, come on, man, just kill yourself. Like, and he would just talk about it. Yeah, I was married for 32 years. My wife divorced me. Now I'm teaching this. And it's fucked up because...
Wait, his wife was Japanese?
Yeah.
Or?
So he'd been here. He has a whole family. And it's like, sorry, buddy, back to teaching English.
So wait, why didn't he have to teach English when he was married? Interesting.
I think just like, I don't know what his situation really was.
Right.
He's kind of a weird guy. And one of my Japanese friend he would like help people do paperwork and shit. He was like, at the training, he was like, I think he's drunk. I'm like, I don't care.
Maybe he's just so depressed.
But yeah, it's like you can just, I guess, you just never go home, but then you still keep teaching English. But here's my thing, that is his fault. If you have a wife and a family and you still can't speak Japanese, and you've been here for that long, that is all on you. That's not Japan's fault. Even though they don't, we gotta be honest, they really don't want you to learn Japanese. And
yeah, that also goes like going back to my plan thing. My original plan was to learn Japanese, which it's still doing, but I should be fluent by now. 4 years is a long time.
Now, this is where I think it's a little bit more on Japan's fault because they're still... Okay, for some context, even historically, Japan's never been really pro letting people know what's going on here. So, like, for instance, like, when the Europeans came here to trade, they were like, you get an island over off Nagasaki.
Oh, is that how it went down?
Yeah, you don't go to Honshu. You got to go to this fucking island.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And and I think you really weren't allowed to learn Japanese. Like, they taught one guy Dutch, and he's like, I'll fucking tell him what you said. So that makes sense in modern times where you're like, how come nobody really wants to talk to me in Japanese even though I live here?
Interesting.
But I almost wonder if that's where we have to be more assertive.
Yeah, exactly. You don't. I read somewhere some guy that learned Japanese, some African guy. He was like, you don't ask, you take it.
And that's actually something I've learned after 5 fucking years, where it's like, if they are like at the kombini, you just say, fucking do this in Japanese, and they go, oh, okay. And then eventually they go, okay, he knows it. So when he comes in, they won't be stupid anymore.
Yep.
But it's annoying because, like, okay, so you know at the train station, some of the trains, it's called Shuten.
Okay.
The final stop.
Yeah.
Some of the trains keep going. Some of the trains stop at Tenroku and then they park them. Well, one lady yesterday, she was getting on the train that doesn't go anywhere. So I got on, I'm like, chotomate kudasai. In Japanese, I'm like, this is a Shuten. Like, this is the last stop. And she was like, huh? I'm like, Shuten. She's like, huh? So I didn't drag her, but I was like, oh, go over here with me. I'm like pointing to the sign that says Tenroku on the train. I'm like, it stops here. Like, don't get on the train. She's like, oh, okay. And then that kind of pissed me off because like she didn't even say thank you.
Right? Hey, it was just like a.
I'm like, if I was Japanese, you'd be bowing and shit like, oh, I'm like,
thank you for making me not look like a dumbass on the train. What would have happened if she stayed on the train? They would.
I've actually seen that before. I guess they just crush them. We will recycle this train. But it's one of those things where like I'm speaking, and maybe you couldn't hear it because the trains are so loud or something, but it's like I'm speaking Japanese to you. So this is kind of on you for not understanding me. But that is one thing where I do put a little blame on Japan, where it's like, you guys really got to open up a little more.
And piggyback off what you're saying, what you say, or it took you 5 years. Yeah, it was like, here's the thing. Unfortunately, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Which is,
and
it's an honest. I still think, why didn't fuck? But you don't know what you don't know.
And
and there's no reason that you should know that.
And no, it's those fucking YouTubers.
Yeah.
We complain about these fuckers so much, and there's so many channels now. There's always new channels. 10 things not to do in Japan. And you're like,
So let me pick about you don't know what you don't know, and you're being led the wrong way. That's double fucked. It's
by
like
our people. Like that's where you're like, you should be telling people the truth, but I guess I don't know if it's like, are they trying to impress people or are they trying to just get clicks or something? I have no idea. But it's like, the more channels out there that are like, Japan is anime, and then you get here after 5 years and you're like, well, why did I listen to you? And it's just like, I don't, other than that one guy who was doing the YouTube videos about eikaiwas. I don't remember where he was from, but he was kind of funny.
Yeah.
He wasn't even really negative, but he was just like, this is what'll happen. Like,
yeah. If anything, that was the most honest I ever seen.
Yeah, but every other channel is just like, you can get this Hello Kitty sandwich, and I'm like, how does that help anybody who's living here? Or I guess that's not the intent of their channel. The intent is just, I need attention, I guess. I don't know.
And also, like, after a few years, you're like, okay, I thought this English teaching thing was only going to be a year, maybe 2 year thing.
I know, that's the bad part.
Because, like, back home, you can do one job, not feeling it. Maybe not even a year, you're doing a different job, a completely different job. Here, it's like, okay, you can do this kind of English, or this kind of English, or this, and you're just like, it's the same shit.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, at my new training, you got the new batch of foreigners, so it doesn't stop. Yeah. Now you're just the old guy that's stuck doing the same job.
Yeah.
That now they're like, well, we get these young, fresh people in, and
yeah, it is interesting, and they always say the same lines. Yeah, and I'm sure we said it too. Oh yeah, I like the culture, I like the food. I'm just really trying to learn and understand. Everyone I hear that's like that same age, 23, 24, 25, they all say the same thing.
And also, like, even with the companies, like I think you were telling me your company, after a certain number of years, they're like,
oh, okay,
we kind of want someone new, or that you kind of might get a little fucked.
You can keep, okay, I think it's 4 or 5 years working at this company. You can be a full-time teacher, but Japanese people, or it's not just them, okay, but people who work in Japan after X amount of years, they automatically gain some status. Like, if you work at the same company for 5 years, you become this level, which includes this perk, this perk, this perk, this perk. But they don't have to do it. But they want to do it so they can keep Japanese people working, and they don't want you leaving. They don't give a shit if we leave.
They got a whole new set. So they actually might like it because they're like, oh, a new fresh guy we can run through.
So after, let's say, 5 years at this company, you can still work there, but you can't get full-time anymore, and which means you can't get that status, and you can't get the same money. Like, you can work part-time, the same amount of hours, but you get paid a part-time wage.
That's fucked up.
And they don't hide it. That's the most fucked up thing, where they're like, this is just what we do. We don't care.
Shit. So are you approaching that time frame soon?
I think I got maybe... I think this was the last year I would get a raise. Because, and that's another thing, why would they give me a raise after the limit? So it's like, I got a raise after this year. Oh, that's nice. That's another $100 a month. And then you're like, and it just stops. But it stops a year before that full-time thing kicks in. Why would that be? Oh, wait, shit. They don't want you working 5 years.
That's craziness. Oh, shit. I just had another... Fuck, I just lost it. I was going to say... Okay. Here's also a internal thing that could be eating at you, but you probably won't know. This is me. I guess this podcast is for the people that have been here a long time. I don't know if this is for coming to you. This is for the I've been here for a while listeners.
20 minutes in. This is what we're...
But, like, okay. This, so you've been in Japan for a while. The years add up. It's that feeling where you're like, I haven't gotten anything out of Japan. And they got so much out of me. And so, honest, like, when I used to work in Ohio, when it was, like, time for me to go, I'm like, all right, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But here it's like, I need to get something. Like,
right, yeah.
Because you feel like if I leave, you almost feel like you're leaving with nothing.
Yeah.
And then you have all those thoughts of, they got so much out of me.
Yeah. It's weird. I haven't saved any money in 5 years. I came with so much. I'm like, what? How did I spend it all? Like, and then you can't go back. You can't go back like to America and be like, I spent 5 years in Japan. Can I work at like a restaurant? I gotta make back this money somehow. Like,
right.
So, but yeah, and it's just like they
it's almost like you want your payback, but you're not getting your payback. I'm not even talking about financially. I'm talking about other things, like mentally, physically. You're like, give me back what you took from me, or give me something in return.
And okay, do you think that's just because of the work environment, or do you think that's the country?
I think it's a little bit of a mixture of everything.
It's both. Why can't you understand this?
Yeah, it's a mixture of everything.
Like, but and this is another thing you learn after so long living here. Japanese people don't like working in Japan. Like, so then it's like, well, what job can I do? Like, if I had enough Japanese to work at a company, I'm just gonna kill myself.
And that's also coming with the foreign idea of Japan. They're like, oh, everything's so good, so happy, but like, just like America, everyone hates their fucking job.
Yeah.
If you knew that before you're coming, like, wait, what? They all hate their job too? Like, oh, it's just normal. Yeah. Jobs fucking suck.
But the only difference with America, I think foreigners that go there typically get integrated into the system. We're still year by year, or your visa's what, 3 years? Okay, you lucked out and got 3 years, but next time might be 1. We don't know. Could be 5 if you're a girl, or Brandon for some reason. Every girl I've talked to got 5 years, and then you're like, I also got 5. I'm like, I always get 1 or 3.
And, shit,
but yeah, my thing with that is just like, they don't have a system for you to integrate, and it's like, is that why I don't speak Japanese? Because no, like, there's no reason for anyone to speak Japanese to me.
Or less like, or the levels jump up drastically. Like,
right,
you'll go to like City Hall or do something, and they're like, I've had someone just say the same thing in Japanese 20 times. I'm like, but this is the weird thing. I kind of want that.
Yeah.
But it's happening at City Hall in a situation where, like, I'm just trying to figure out this I don't know, pension or health insurance. Like, this is not the time to be speaking pure Japanese.
Yeah.
But then you're trying to learn with some people, and they're like, I'm gonna speak English. It's like, all right, that's too low.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers are being crazy. Like,
and that's another thing where it's like Japanese people would have a hard time reading those sort of contracts or
it's not easy shit.
Understanding that. A lot of times with those things, I'll just kind of point to the paper. I'm like, Daijobu? Mm-hmm. Like, is everything okay? And they're like, yeah, don't worry. I'm like, okay. But yeah, it is kind of scary when you're like, I don't know what I'm signing for, but I know that I have to sign it. So, yeah, but okay, well, I guess let's talk about the jumps. When you first come here, you can know, like for school or whatever, or traveling, you can know zero Japanese or where's the bathroom, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
If you, the next jump is casual conversations where someone says, the weather's nice today, and you go, yes, it is. And you're like, fuck yeah. I fucking understood all of that.
Yeah.
And then the next jump is like talking to someone about something that isn't ridiculous, like what's your favorite color? Like you're like, oh, I actually really like this baseball player, and they're like, oh shit, me too. Like we can go see a game together. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, that's the next jump where you're like, I said something somewhat meaningful. And then it just skips all the way up to the top. Yeah. There's nothing in between.
So wait, where's that?
It is literally just like, I can talk to a guy at a bar pretty good to like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
And that's the lack of, you teach English all day. You're hearing English all day. Mm-hmm. A lot of, of course, I would take some blame. We got to push ourselves more. But still, you know.
But I don't know where you would learn that level English. I guess you would.
Guess you got the Naruto's right there.
Tomodachi ga ii desu ne. That's not gonna help me. I suppose to get to that next level, you literally, in the typical Japanese way, you have to just give people money. Like, to teach you that.
I guess.
There's no way you're going to learn it any other way.
I always see, like, a random job posting, like, like a real salary. Like, for foreigner. It's like, but you need this level of Japanese. I always pass, like, oh, shit, like, I don't know if I can do this.
Why is that so funny, just to hear the term real salary? Because if you think about it, it's like, oh, I'm making more money than back in America. And then I'm like, I don't know if I am.
I talked to my friends. I was like, what you make at entry level? He's like, yeah, I'm like $4,000 a month. I'm like, $4,000 a month? Entry level.
And then I'm thinking, like, I don't even know if this is good for a full-time job. Like, I'm making part-time wages doing all this work.
They'll work you, too.
But, it is funny, like, to get the actual legitimate paychecks, you really gotta. And here's the weird thing: it's like when you're reading what you need to do these jobs. It's always no Japanese required, business level. It's like that just kind of just how you were talking about with the study. Yeah. No Japanese, business level. And then you're
N2 or N1 higher.
Oh, it always says that too.
We are not fucking. We won't give you an inch.
And they want the JLPT papers. They don't give a shit if you can speak Japanese. They're just like, does the paper say N2? Then you're good.
It's like, where's that middle ground?
And you will actually, if you're here, you'll search like, surely there's a job where I can kind of use Japanese, and then I'll get better. And you're like, no.
You better have that skill. You either got it or you don't.
Yeah, but it's not just the foreigner living in Japan thing. Like, there's Japanese people that want to work for like my company or whatever, and what part of what they say is like, oh, I want to get better at English, and we're just like, this is a company, buddy. This isn't the time to get better at English.
Yeah, life is, it's tough out there for everyone.
But fortunately for them, they're still living with their parents, and they got all these damn bills to pay.
And that was I actually was trying to get that point in there. When you come to Japan, you have no support system. Your family and friends are back home.
Hey,
If shit goes south, you can't be like, fuck, this is gonna suck, but I'm just gonna stay at my parents' house for 6 months, get back on my feet.
Yeah.
No, it's what you gonna do.
Yeah.
You got no support.
All right, looks like you're good to move into this apartment. Can we get that Hoshonin? I don't know any Japanese people that are gonna sign off on this. So you're not getting an apartment then? You're like, what the fuck? Like, that's another thing. It's like, it's either 0 or 100 here. It's like, I either have an apartment or I don't. I just live on the street.
And that's the thing, like, a lot of people, they can stay at their parent, even for, like, the money that you have to upfront cost. It's like, well, I'll just stay at home and I'm not paying rent, so I can just save up my money.
Yeah.
Here, it's like, dude, I was just paying rent. Like I had a hard time getting my place. I was like, dude, I was kind of just paying rent off this shitty-ass AOT job. All of a sudden, I got to, like, scrape my pennies and get this apartment. That's why I've been in the hole for a while. I'm like, shit. Like,
yeah.
But you're like, I got no one. Like, you got your friends, of course, but it's like, it's not the same as family and shit. We're like, you know what, man, I could just chill at my sister's house for a while, just 2 months, you know. It's like, oh fuck, like if you fall, you better get your ass back up.
Yep, it's rough out here.
It's rough.
But I sure do love anime.